All right. So we were talking about guilt and fear and shame and anger and pride, desire, right? So what happens when we try to sublimate these? Okay. So we've got this idea, a lot of people have this idea that if everyone would just do the right thing, right? Whether that's being vegetarian or vegan or smoking weed or putting down their weapons or going to college or having an earth home or stopping circumcision or stopping wars or, sitting out in a crevasse, and all holding, daisy chains or whatever. If we would all just do this one thing, then we could all be at peace, and peace is what's good for living things and children. And war is not good for anyone. It's not good for children. It's not good for. Yeah, I would agree that war is not good for children, in a way. In a way, although we're people my age, we've grown up without any war that's really been. Well, we've had some. I don't know if I'd call attacking the Middle East war. It's very one-sided. And don't fucking give me the 9/11 bullshit. Okay, I'm yeah. Anyway, so we don't the people that are my age that did not join the military have not really tasted what war tastes like. And I can only imagine what war really tastes like when it's really in your mouth, right? I can imagine, I can feel the energy, and I can get very excited by the concept of war, and I can have a prurient interest in, reading books about it and looking at Nazi memorabilia and imagining how powerful and exciting everything is because I'm a millennial who's totally spoiled, but I don't know what war actually tastes like, and I'm sure it's a little bit more bitter than I would imagine. So, anyway, when we have this perfect world, if everyone would just change their ways, then good could kill evil, and then we'd all have a good place to be, and we would all be good, and life would be good, right? And we could all be in love and in peace. We could all be in expansiveness, and we could all be connected from our different upper alignment, right? And we could all be peaceful. Here's the thing, though, with that, okay? We don't jump up to the upper chakras without getting into the lower ones, and all these fucking people that want to say that there's some perfect outcome for planet Earth, and all we need to do is not engage with our fear, not engage with our power, with our anger, with our desires, with our animal nature. If we could just get away from all that. Well, this is rubbish, people. This is rubbish. And I'll tell you who this rubbish is for. This rubbish is for poor people, okay? Rich people don't actually live that way, and they don't think that way, and they make fun of us, okay? Because they know better, all right? So this is where we get into religion, okay? Religion is a code of law. A code of law given from on high, of course, in order to let the population know what's going to be good and bad. And so what's good and bad for the population to do is to only go to war when they're told to do so by their superiors and by the people in charge, like popes and things like that. And we need to be at peace, and we need to not covet our neighbor's property or our neighbor's wives or our neighbor's fucking donkeys and his hens and whatever. We need to leave those alone and quietly work the field, and someday when we die, we're going to get a bunch of beautiful land and virgins and all sorts of great rewards in heaven, but not in this life, because in this life, we're poor and we're religious, because that's what was given to us. All throughout time, huge chunks of time, the only book that poor people were given was a fucking Bible. That's the only book they got. They didn't get a book on how to use their menstrual cycle to tell them when they were ovulating and have natural birth control. No. No, we didn't have any books about herbs or natural healing. They had one fucking book. And that book, the original print shop was at the Vatican, right? The Vatican made books. So we're the book that most people got all across the world, the first book that most people got and the last book that most people got was a Bible. And whether it was Christian or not, a lot of them were Christian, and I'm sure in other countries a lot of them were Korans or Old Testament or whatever the fuck. But all throughout history, since we've had the printing press, most poor people got no books or one book, and that was the fucking Bible that somebody else wrote or a group of other people wrote. So we've got this amazing way to control people, and that is why we call it the opiate for the masses, right? I didn't do the opiate for the masses, I just went for opiates. But it's all really quite the same, whether it's opiate for the masses or opiates. It takes away the desire to be angry. It takes away the desire to be desirous. Somewhat, it sublimates those desires. So I can say, well, I really want what I see. I see my neighbor has that beautiful red car, and I really want one. And I could go steal it. I could go take it. I could be angry and desirous, and I could be prideful. But I know that I would be sent to hell for that. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to wait, and perhaps God will bring me a red car in heaven, and I'll drive around in heaven in it. Or perhaps if I just work at my little job, and maybe after 20 years I can save up and I'll have my own red car, and I'm going to work like a little ant and be diligent and keep my head down, and I'm going to be a happy poor person because I know that in the next life I'm going to get my just desserts, right? But what is natural for humans, okay, just like any other fucking animal, because we're animals, so any fucking other animal, right? We are filled with lust. We are filled with the desire to take over. We are filled with the desire to be more than, better than, smarter than. We are filled with pride. We want attention. We want people to look at us and give us positive attention. Or for some of us, we're so attention hungry, we don't mind if it's negative attention. I would rather have negative attention than no attention. And some people would rather have no attention than negative attention. I am not that way personally. But anyway, so it's totally natural to be, and this is where testosterone comes in, right? So males and females both have testosterone, and the testosterone peaks, at that 18, 19, 20 age. And that is what originally human beings, we had a lifespan. If we lived over 18, the average death, at least, through the Middle Ages, was about 33. And so we had a much shorter lifespan. Throughout history, we had a much shorter lifespan. Now we're living to 80, we're living to 70, we're living to 90, we're living to 100. But back in the day, if you lived over it, if you were survived till 18, then you typically would live to around 33. And so, what was it? Oh, testosterone. Okay, so we had testosterone levels that were fairly high throughout the entire lifetime. Anyway, so testosterone is it's what gives us that juice to seek, to conquer, to, it's our drive. It's our boom, straight shot drive. And men and women have it. I happen to be very high testosterone female, and my testosterone levels, with the state of America right now, with so many men having low testosterone, my testosterone probably actually is higher than some men who are in their 40s and 50s and 60s, and that's a really interesting thing. But yeah, so testosterone is something that everyone has, at least with women, usually testosterone and estrogen are balanced, right? You have both, and because they're very, they're in competition somewhat. And with men, they have, I believe, they have estrogen levels, and they do go up when they're caring for children. They go way up, and the testosterone levels drop. So if men are caring for young children, their sex drive will actually go down. It's why if you have a baby and the man is helping you quite a bit in the first year or so, his testosterone levels will drop through the floor, and you will, as a female, be begging him to have sex with you and be getting very agitated and saying, I need to be in an open relationship, and if you won't fuck me, I'll find someone who will. This happens in almost every relationship post-baby, and nobody really talks about it. But it's something that's very important to talk about because it's totally natural. Again, most things that we go through in life are totally natural. But nature and religion are not good bedfellows. They're not friends, right? Paganism and nature worship and self-worship. Also what some people call Satanism, right? I don't call it that. Okay, I call it nature, and you can say nature worship or self-actualization, right? Self-actualization, paganism, And then we have religion, which is a force of control. Okay. So what do we get when we swallow the religious hook, line, and sinker, and we think that it is very unfortunate for us to, and religion does let you're able to feel fear. You give it to God, but you're able to feel fear. But, and they encourage guilt. They encourage guilt. You take your guilt in and give it to count that fucking Hail Marys and give it to the guy, right? I'm so guilty because right? And they're fucking in the thing with the screen mesh, and they're, tell me more about your story. What are you guilty about, you dirty girl? These people are, how do they even, they're fucking perverts. And religious people, like, especially ones in religions where you can't get married, you can't have sexual relationships, so you just sit around in booths and listen to people's sins. How are you not going to use that as jerk-off material? How are you not going to become a total fucking pervert? And that's what, the Catholic Church, you're never going to be on my good side. I don't give a fuck if you legalize abortion in your thingy, okay? I don't care. I don't care, because you encourage shame, and you encourage guilt, and you breed a bunch of fucking perverts. And it's the same thing with Judaism. Some branches of Christianity are better than others. Some parts of Islam are better than others. But we just have a big mess of religion. And I say, throw the baby out with the bathwater. If you are reading your religious book and it's telling you that you're the chosen people, or that it's okay to have sex with children, or that women shouldn't have any rights, or that women shouldn't speak in church because they're not holy, or that they should go into little cabins when they're bleeding because they could make a ham go bad if they touch it. All these things, if they've got a bunch of fucking laws, throw the whole thing out. Throw the whole thing out. Now, I mean, we've got maybe little snippets that are good. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, which is a good thing to think about. It's better than an eye for an eye, for sure. We have a lot of people on the planet, so it would be good to use that golden rule. But it's always going to be a higher mind sort of thing, right? In nature, we don't actually think that far ahead. We're thinking about ourselves, and it takes an evolution in order to think about, well, how is this person going to feel? About empathy, right? And what do we need to feel empathetic, and to be in empathy, and to be in those higher engaged emotions, and to really feel mano a mano what someone else is feeling? We need to be fully safe and integrated in our lower chakras. We need to be accepting of our own sexuality, accepting of our own digestion, of our own will, of our own anger, of our own fears. We need to be accepting ourselves fully and completely in order to engage with empathy. Trying to engage with empathy when we're not really settled in ourselves is just a recipe for disaster, and it's not real empathy. One has to be grounded in oneself in order to truly be empathetic. And of course, we have to remember that everyone is in their own ego. They're doing things for their own reasons, and they have their own agenda. They're fulfilling their own patterns. They're reliving things that have happened to them before. And they are in their selfishness. We are all in our selfishness. There's not going to be some person that has no ego and is altruistic. And there's certainly not going to be a society of people that have no ego and are altruistic. That's the sort of thing. They would have to literally take out a huge portion of our brain. And basically, they would have to make us fucking idiots in order for us to have no ego. We're not insects. We don't have a hive mind per se. We do have a hive mind. We do have a collective unconscious. And we do have the hive mind of the internet, right? We're making ourselves more insect-like, actually, with the internet. And with electronics and things, and with cars. We're learning from insects, and we're integrating that insect technology, right? But we are not by nature insects. We are individuals that we're pack animals. We're pack animals, and we do have alphas, and it's very fascinating. So we're more, like a wolf pack or something, wolf pack. But anyway, so I think the first step is to, and I started this whole video to say that, I think I did say it, so that I get energy and juice out of whatever I'm observing, but especially things that are powerful and desirous and sinful in whatever way. I get a lot of mileage out of that. And it's just because it's exciting. It's exciting. And it fills me with dopamine and testosterone and all sorts of stuff. So let's get really honest. If we're on the internet for hours and we're researching something that is supposed to be horrifying us, right? If we're looking at things, human rights abuses for hours and hours and hours, it's totally possible that we, on a personal level, maybe we just need a good spanking, Maybe we need a good spanking, and we're trying to get it on the internet, and we really, really need a good spanking in real life in 3D. Anyway, this is just one of my frames and how I see the world. I read a lot of Marquis de Sade when I was in high school. That's what I did instead of going to class. I read Marquis de Sade. So, forgive me if you don't have to see things the way I see them, but it's just ideas, ideas. I'm obsessed with S&M and politics. That's like my two things. It's like S&M and how it relates to politics. I don't know, it's just like my new fascination. And speaking of that, politics is definitely something that is more fun. I think it's more fun when you're not getting laid. So basically, all of us need to get off the internet and get laid. I don't know. Politics are fun too, though. I'm having fun with politics right now. All right. Peace, guys. Bye.